Hello, and welcome to Unfiltered Eat Better, Think Better series. This is where we get real about our emotions, mindset, connection to food, and just what it really takes to break free and feel good in your body and life again. I'm your host, Jaini, and in this series, I sit down with everyday people who face challenges with their health, body, their mind, their confidence, or long held beliefs that have held them back and found powerful ways to rise and grow through it all. These are real stories, no filters, no fluff, just raw conversations about what they struggled with, what actually helped, and how they created transformation from the inside out. So, whether you're on your own journey or just curious on what's possible, you're in the right place. So, here's to eating better, thinking better, and living a phenomenal life. Let's go. So, today I would love to welcome our guest, Ricqesh. Thank you so much for being here with us. I'm really excited about this conversation. One is because it is a deep personal, emotional journey, and I think it's wonderful for you to be able to share that as a man. I think there's a lot of challenge around that in our society today, and I think it's changing slowly. And also, before we dive in, I want to just say that this conversation, it's not about having the answers or presenting that polished story. It's just about being real. It's about the moments that changed you, that challenged you, and really shaped the man that you're becoming. And, from little bits of what you've shared, and we met last year, was it? Yeah, it was last year, 2025, at
In
the
March. Yeah,
homecoming retreat, I think, right?
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, which a little shout out to that homecoming retreat, completely life changing. And so Rikesh's wife actually runs that with a friend, Narissa. But yeah, that's where we first met. And I just remember being in your presence was so grounding and so calm. And I was just like, wow, I think there's something about you that's happened. And so I really wanted to dive into that story. And from what you shared, you've lived a journey that includes, addressing low self-worth, identity shifts, doing that sort of deep inner work, and what you have described as a kind of death and rebirth. And something that stood out to me as well in your responses that you shared with me was moving from living according to that sort of social norm to slowly stepping into your authenticity. So I'd love to start really simple. And maybe you can just think back to that version of you 5 years ago and maybe share with us, how would you describe that man?
Yeah, well, firstly, thanks so much for having me on, Janie. It's a real honor and treat. Yeah, to have this chat with you. And as you said, it's been so awesome meeting you at the homecoming retreat, I think February or March time, and
Yeah.
just getting to know you more. It's just been really fun. Um, and to answer your question, yeah, I mean, it's been a journey, and I think f 5 years ago, I think I probably had short back and sides haircut, and was a very different, um, probably not that different human, but I definitely did lots of different things to what I do um, in
Yeah.
today's self. Yeah.
If you were to describe like a day in the life of 5 years ago, what would that look like so that, for whoever's watching or listening can see what the shift and transition has kind of been? And it
Yeah.
could be
So
feeling on the inside too, right? Like, because from the outside, things could be the same.
yeah, no, that's really good point. So my profession is has been for the last 14 years or so working in real estate. So largely in property development. Um, so a day in the life of me 5 years ago was very much going to work, trying to find the next deal, negotiating, working through issues at work, and then very much enjoying meeting people, which I still do now, but also a lot of partying, very much burning the candle at both ends and living that kind of life, the London lifestyle as most people do in their 20s, and very much to a point I very much enjoyed it. But yeah, the self-worth was something was playing with me initially, internally rather, and I was just really feeling not quite present, and things weren't quite clicking for me as I felt they should, both at work, in my personal life, in my marriage, with even with friends and family. I didn't feel I was fully able to be there and be fully available to people that I cared about and also work. And I wasn't understanding it. It just wasn't making sense internally. So there was actually quite a lot of sadness internally within me.
Yeah. And how is that sort of showing up for you day to day? Like even when if things looked fine on the outside, how is it showing up for you?
I I think mostly in the quieter moments, it was kind of moments of reflection or just with myself. I just wasn't happy with how life was going for me. And yeah, as most people will know me, I'm pretty happy guy. I kind of like to be as positive as I can be, whatever the situation is, and to work through whatever's presenting. But yeah, deep down there was some stuff that needed to be worked through, I think.
Very true. Yeah, true. And we'll talk a little bit about, at what moment did you realize there was actually something that you needed to work through? But let's talk a little bit about the social norms. What did conforming to social norms mean to you?
It very much meant going. A lot of it was about going out, and I did enjoy that. And so
Yeah,
there was a big. I think growing up, there was a big drinking culture around me, and that very much fed through into my professional life as well. Most deals happen through contacts, and most of those relationships are built, especially in the UK or in London, in the pub. And to be honest, there was a big element of me that really enjoyed that, and
mm,
and I had some really fun nights. I had some really nice lunches, and I
yeah,
very much did enjoy it in the moment. But I think kind of the last, especially last 2 years or 2.5 years have really kind of shaken me up in terms of actually it's not completely aligned to what I need to be doing in this life. So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I totally hear what you're saying. There's a phase in my life as well where I loved the going out and the late nights and the partying and I did actually enjoy those. I don't think I would change those years.
yeah,
But I feel like there just comes a phase where something inside of you shifts and says, well, maybe there's more. And this is not the enjoyment that I want right now in this season in life. And I think that's really important to acknowledge as well, because it's not like you're regretting your past or you don't or you would go back to change things because you actually enjoyed it. It's just recognizing, well, right now that's not the thing that's filling me up.
exactly. And I think there was also a point where, uh, I can kind of reflect on it and realize that, I was also going out as a and 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 drinking as something to numb what else I was feeling as well. So I think I can also recognize, yeah, some nights were great and there was none of that, but there was also some nights where there was probably a lot of that. And to now be able to kind of really separate the two and be very conscious about if I have a drink or want to go out and really enjoy myself, it's from a place of having that full enjoyment rather than I want some alcohol to numb myself from whatever's happening.
Yeah, exactly. Because that was the other thing I was gonna say is it that you just don't go out anymore, or you still do? And I guess you've answered that.
Yeah, it's more difficult, or not more difficult. Actually, my perspective really changed having a baby, and it's kind of like all I want to do is just be at home with baby and my wife at the moment. But yeah, there's definitely nights where I'm like, oh, it would be quite fun to have a few drinks, listen to some music, have a dance, and I think that would
Yeah,
be quite fun. So it's definitely not like off the table. I still
off the
really enjoy
table.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. So you mentioned then this sort of change started happening maybe 4 or 5 years ago when things were really feeling difficult in work, in marriage and relationships. Was there like a specific moment that happened that made you think, wow, I've really got to figure this out, or I've got to understand what's going on? Or was there sort of a gradual sequence of things that made you realize something deeper needs attention?
Yeah, I think it's the latter. It was definitely a build up of stuff happening, and we were at a festival in the UK called Medicine Festival, and there was lots of men's only workshops going on. So me and a friend of mine went to one of the, I think it was a Sacred Sons workshop, and after that 2 or 3 hour session, I was just like, okay, whatever's happening inside me, this is the type of thing I need to go and do. And me and my friend, we made a commitment to ourselves to find a men's group or something similar to help ourselves through this, because he was going through similar issues as well. And he called me a couple months later, said, Ricqesh, I found this thing, and this is the one. You've got to sign up. It starts in 2 weeks. You've got to go for it. We're doing it. I've signed up already. And yeah, I had a chat with Ayot, the leader of the program. It's called it's the Soul of Men.
Mhm.
And I was, yeah, completely hooked and thought, this is what I've got to do. And that was it, really.
Wow, and then you started it. I think there's a lot of bravery in taking a decision that says, you know what, something doesn't feel right, and I'm ready to actually face it and find out what's going on. So I think that's amazing. Tell us more
Thank you.
about this soul. Did you say, what do you call it? Soul,
The Soul of Men.
the soul of men. So
The
tell us
Soul
about
of
this
Men. Yeah.
program that you signed up to and what did it do for you?
It's yeah, it's been completely life changing. And it's a program based in masculine embodiment and tantric practices. So um, in the first in the first year, which you don't have to do multiple years. So looking at just the first year alone, it is about masculine embodiment, which sort of mean, not sort of, what it means is being able to embody your feelings fully and to respond in the healthiest way possible, or the best way, which is true to yourself as possible. And it centers on the four archetypes by Carl Jung or Henry Moore, the king, magician, warrior, and lover. And it works between the center of each of those archetypes and shows you the shadow aspects. And within that, or I felt I was able to really bring that in together, see where the shadow parts of me lay within each of those archetypes, and then bring that forward into my day-to-day life. So yeah, that was year one. And going into it, I remember speaking to a friend of mine, and he said, "Look, if you don't like it, you can just leave. If you don't like the guys, you can just leave." And a big part of it was we got there on the induction day, and Ayot said, "You're making a firm commitment here to you and the men around you that, this is it. You've committed for the whole year-long training." And when that like finally dropped into me, I was like, okay, we're all in this together. We've got to do it.
Yeah.
There's no quitting. And I think it was almost one of the biggest things I think men suffer from is commitment, and not just in longer term things like marriage or relationships, but even just meeting up. There's so much flakiness in modern society. It's like, we're going to meet in 3 hours. Oh no, sorry, I can't make it. I want to do something else instead. And for me, that was kind of rule one of let's say healthy masculinity, was actually commitment is extremely important. So
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say it's only men. I'm particularly guilty of that. Being like, I've committed to something and like 2 hours before, I'm like, actually, I feel like sitting at home in my pajamas. Um,
yeah.
yeah, but I think, what you're talking about embodiment and I don't know if this is part of that, but having even just this month of January been so much more mindful and aware of what's going on for me in a month as it
Mm,
relates to my cycle, as it relates to the moon, and noticing where my energies are, noticing how outgoing I'm feeling or how inward I want to be has actually helped me to be less flaky because now I'm noticing when I'm committing to something or planning something, I'm actually looking at the calendar and like, okay, what day of my cycle am I going to be? And am I near a full moon? Because then I don't want to, like that will help
yeah,
me say yes or no, which makes me less flaky. So
that's amazing. That's
yeah, that's
amazing.
just been a really interesting practice to kind of be intentional about. Yeah.
Yeah.
For someone who's listening, who's hearing this word embodiment for the first time ever, what's a simple way you could describe that? Or maybe share an experience that you've had that could help describe what that even means and why it's helpful.
Mm. Um, I think I, I think in its essence it is um when you go into a challenging situation and maybe a challenging discussion with your partner, and there's lots of different emotions that are coming up on you, and you want to react in a very, you just want to react, maybe angrily or sad, maybe you want to retreat. The embodiment is being able to feel all those feelings and just have the capacity to take a pause or allow them to just flow through you and still respond in the best way you can, which will resolve the situation or move the situation forward in a positive way. That's
Yeah.
kind of been my experience. And I find that in relationship in my marriage a lot. Like, if my wife we're having a debate about something and um I'm feeling all of the stress and emotion. Like before, I'd probably just walk out the room or react very angrily, whereas now I'm able to really take my time through it internally, actually, and then
Mhm.
respond. And it makes life a lot easier.
Yeah, I can imagine that changing everything across life. Especially with that relationship, like with partners. Yeah, it makes a huge difference if you can actually be there and be present, and then be able to respond in a way that's helpful rather than reactive. I can see the dynamic shifting, yeah, quite a bit.
Yeah.
How did you build the strength to feel deeply without being overwhelmed?
And it's interesting you speak about, your cycle and how you work through the energy of that and can kind of see when to plan things because it's very much aligned with the tantric aspect of the embodiment course because a lot of men's work is kind of, let's say, stage one masculinity of beating chests and getting into your, let's say, warrior energy, and that's kind of it. Whereas actually we want to be completely aligned with our sexual energy as well. And whereas, let's say, moon cycles are talked about a bit, not that much, that frequently, a bit more frequently than a man's sexual energy, the best way I can describe is working with our energy of our semen and working through semen retention and energetic cultivation practices to really feel our energy flowing through my body. And once I was able to sort of do that with a bit more consistency, that's how I was able to really embody all the emotions and my own power, really.
Wow. And so now, this Ricqesh of 5 years later, how are you different in your day to day compared to before? Having done this sort of work and resolved things that were going on, yeah, how do you feel? How do you show up differently?
Um, I think a major thing is as I was saying, I've developed the capacity to not fall back onto any vices to numb myself through whatever I'm feeling and whatever pain. And I think no one will see that or know about that, I don't think, apart other than me. But for me, I can recognize when I'm getting stressed or I'm feeling a bit sad about something or this conversation at work or this thing didn't happen so well. And instead of saying, I'm going to go for a drink or do something else, then I'm able to just sit with it for a bit more and then move forward with my day and not let it affect me so much.
Yeah. And do you find that doing this, you mentioned when you were writing to me, you quit your well-paid dream job and you just had a little baby at that point, which seems, to a lot of people like, oh, that's a risky move, like you're just quitting your job and then you're going off traveling. What was it that made that possible for you to decide that?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I so the second part of the Soul of Men training led me and my brothers through a soul purpose journey, which um, I didn't even really know what it meant until I went into that second year or even got halfway through or to the end because all I was thinking was the first year was so good. I've learned so much about myself that this is the program that I continue to need. And the soul purpose journey really led me through and and the guys I was doing it with through a dark, I don't want to say dark, but it 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 drew me deep into my body and into my being and ultimately to my soul. And it is a dark process because you don't know where you're going. Not dark in the sense of it's that heavy, but it's just where am I going? There's so much mystery involved, and it really shook my ego, my belief systems, everything in my being to its core. And and it was only going through that those 2 years of journeying, which really allowed me to develop the capacity to have, as you say, the bravery or courage to 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 quit my job with a young baby and all of this. But I knew that following the journey that I'd just been on, I really needed the time to metabolize it and to understand what had just happened to me. Um, because it wasn't easy. It was a very challenging but fun but challenging few months. And as I said to you, I had landed this job. I was really excited about it. It was not that it was just well paid, but it was kind of working for a family office based in central London, working on really cool assets, which was always something I would love to do. And so I was super excited about it. But I was just felt very stuck there. And I was like, do I want to be doing real estate anymore? I had already signed up to a healing course working with the Andean tribe in Peru. I had signed up to a course to become an inner child therapist as well. And I was really like, what the hell is going on? Like I just couldn't work it out. So I really needed that time to be with myself and be with my family and I really wanted the time to explore indigenous cultures across the world that kind of were close to my heart and my wife's as well. So I
Mhm.
thought, let's just go and do it.
Wow. Yeah, amazing. And what would you say needed to die, or what did you have to let die in order to choose this life, if
Mm,
anything?
yeah. Um, I I just needed to let die that old version of myself, which didn't believe in myself. That was always on the back foot, always scared. I would retreat when things weren't going well, or I would, yeah, I probably just wasn't that brave enough to step into my full self. And when things weren't acceptable to me, I would just accept them. Whereas now I needed to take that step to say, no, this isn't the right job for me. It's not the right lifestyle for me and my family right now. It's not what we need. So I needed to let go yeah, the doubt, the self-worth, lack of self-worth, the lack of courage to go and do what I needed to do for myself and now my family.
Yeah. Wow. And how were the travels then for you?
The best, the
The
best.
best. I can
Yeah.
imagine. Yeah.
It was
Um,
um it was really amazing. I really wanted to connect to my uh to the lands that I was born in, which was New Zealand. Um and so we spent a lot of time in nature. We met some amazing Maori people as well and just learnt, just learnt a different pace of life and learnt how to connect to the spirit of nature there. And to connect to well, part of my ancestral homes, my birth home was really special. And then we went to Central and South America and again, just connected to indigenous people there, as well as had a lot of fun. And maybe we could have had more tequila, I think, but we enjoyed it a lot.
the real
Um,
tequila.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And and then finally we went to India um, just now, and I was able to go to Gujarat and Surat, where I've never been, in my ancestral homes there, and it was amazing what actually emerged after being there in me. And again, I still need a bit more time to go through it and process, but it was a
Wow.
very grounding experience, in short.
Hmm. Amazing. So maybe next episode is going to be a revelation of that trip.
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah, once you've had time to process and digest. Yeah.
exactly.
I think it's actually really wonderful when you can go and visit those indigenous tribes and visit people who still have this insane sense of spirituality within them and this in just connection to land because we are all from Mother Earth. And when you can visit people like that, be in their presence, hear from them, hear their stories, learn from them, receive from them as well. I don't know. I think there's a beauty around that. And it's strange because again, I don't think, even for me, Janie of 4 years ago would even be having these conversations at all.
Wow.
And so, recognizing that spirituality that's there with indigenous tribes would have just been way outside of my circle or bubble of awareness.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, because you've left your lawyer role as well to do your own thing, which is amazing.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, there's been a big transition here as well. And what are you doing now? Like, tell the listeners and watchers, what are you doing now? What do you do? And you've also moved country as well, which is also a big change.
Yeah, so yeah, we decided to move to Nairobi to be closer to my wife's family and and yeah, just to see how life is here for us. We spent 6 or 7 years in the UK after getting married, so that is a shift. And what am I doing now? So through my journey, I did realize that I still like real estate, and I want to continue to work there. And there's some certainly unfinished business. So I've just joined a property developer over here in Nairobi. I'm really enjoying that, as well as helping my wife with her cacao ceremonies. They're going really amazingly, and it's just so much fun to be there. And as well, I work a lot with tobacco, so I received an initiation to serve um, a tobacco snuff called hape or rape, which is from the Amazonian tribes um, a few months ago, and I'm really enjoying that work. So I'm offering that, and I'm also started a men's group with a dear friend of mine, Eric, over here in Nairobi. So we've had 3 circles, and yeah, it's just really amazing to see the guys go through their journeys. I'm really enjoying that as well.
Wow. And in those circles, are you bringing some of the work that you learned with like the masculine embodiment, and the soul journey?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I thought it'd be a sensible place to start with the archetypes, it's quite an easy way to get the guys to understand themselves in that context. And as I said earlier, just to work with with the shadows, and it just helps us as men to go deeper within ourselves, but also feel we're not doing it alone. You know, there's another 5, 10 guys around us in the same boat, and ultimately, yes, we might be from different parts of the world or country or different backgrounds, but we, we share the same, that we're men. And I think the thing I love about men's work is men don't actually need too much from each other apart from presence and just to be heard. And you know, the men's circle could be as simple as that. But what Eric and
Mm,
I are loving doing is bringing some of the embodiment into the work so that after the men have shared and we do some exercises, at least they can again really feel that in their body and be able to therefore bring it forward into their real life a bit
mm.
easier than having a cool workshop experience and then nothing changes. You know, I think
Yeah.
that's where the beauty is. That's where the change happens is when when we're able to fully embody our emotions.
Yeah, wow. I love that. And what I also love is that this is not a story of Ricqesh, who is party boy London guy who now grew his hair and became a monk. You know,
Yeah,
it's like I love that it's real. This is real life that you can have these sorts of things combining, that you can dive into yourself, you do the embodiment work, do the deeper work, feel really fulfilled, and still also have some of these, I'm going to just put it in quotation marks, normal things like having a job. And you love real estate and you also love this other work. And you're doing both. And that's possible, you know. Sometimes I think we hear too many extreme stories that you're in one. Mine potentially could be one, but you know, like you're a lawyer and then all of a sudden now you're a healer. You know, where's the in
exactly.
between? And
But,
there is an in between. That's what you're also showing us, is that there is an in between and you can find your place for what feels right for you.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Of
Yeah, I think that's what I was really struggling with, and you know, it will evolve, I'm sure. But as you say, it's let's just see what happens, I think.
Yeah, exactly. One step at a time, one day at a time, and we keep going. We're always going to be in different seasons throughout our life. So, yeah, being present is the most important thing that we can do. So, if someone listening is feeling stuck or maybe disconnected or numb from themselves, whether they know it or not know it, what's sort of the smallest first step that you'd encourage them to take?
Hmm. I th I think the biggest thing is just being able to spend just 5 minutes with themselves, either at the beginning of the day or the end of the day. And just, you know, even journaling can be too much for some, you know, people at that stage. And I think, yeah, just having those 5 minutes to yourself to either open the day or close the day and just check in with yourself to say, how am I really feeling? What are the things I'm going to do today? Are they aligned to what to my truth? I think that's what I would suggest.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. And it's also, I'm going to clarify that a bit, but correct me if I'm wrong, is when you say just be with yourself, it means you. It doesn't mean you on your phone for a little bit or, you know, you distracted watching something else or playing something. It's just you, right? Um,
Exactly.
okay.
Yeah, you don't necessarily need to even close your eyes and meditate. It's just, you know, just go for a short, you can, you know, go for a short walk by yourself with no phone, no distraction.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and actually be in nature. If you can be in nature, all the better because nature is our biggest teacher. You know, I love to go for a walk and just see the birds, especially being in Nairobi. There's so many trees and birds and plants wherever you are. It's just like amazing and just it might sound stupid, but just asking the trees, asking the birds what, you know, what's happening. And that
Yeah.
no one has
I,
to know apart from you. So
yeah. Yeah. There is something about nature. There's this card, not a card, but I'd gone for this art therapy workshop, and she gave each of us like a card which had a thing written on it.
Mm.
And mine had such a beautiful thing written. It was, in nature's rhythm, you find your beat. Every challenge makes you complete. And
Wow. Wow.
yeah, it's so fitting because every time I feel like I've got a challenge or I feel like, oh, there's too much or I don't know what's going on, I just go to Karura Forest and I just walk. No podcast in my ear or no nothing like that. I'll take my
Mm.
dog, obviously, because if I go Karura without her, I feel bad. But
Can't miss
I'll just
Coco.
go. Yeah, Coco, exactly. And so I'll just go and I'll just walk. And then I'll walk. And then as you walk, I'm just looking at the trees. And then all of a sudden I'll feel lighter. And sometimes I'll get an
Wow.
answer. Sometimes I won't, but at least I'll feel lighter. And and so yeah, that's really important. And I want to mention as well that sometimes that can be more challenging than people think.
It can
Sometimes,
be. It can
you
be.
know, even sometimes 2 minutes of just sitting and not doing anything else and not being distracted sometimes can be difficult. If you're not comfortable with your own thoughts and what's going on, it can be challenging, but it's so rewarding to be able to just be there and hear.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I agree. Just taking that walk in Karua can even that can be a bit daunting, and we can find a million reasons not to do it, and that's still okay. But it's just taking those baby steps and to try and even just do 30 seconds a minute, and people
Yeah.
can work up slowly from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Ricqesh. I'm going to end with a question that I ask everyone, but I just want to say thank you for sharing openly. This is a space that more people need to be in and be able to speak about, especially when it comes to men and emotions, because I think that can, again, the social norm, right? Of no, be a man, be strong, like that's your thing. Don't be anything else.
Exactly.
Um, but that may not be the healthiest way to approach life. So thank you for sharing openly. And this
No,
last
thank you
question
for
that I
giving me the
asked.
space, and it's been such a joy just chatting with you and being able to have that space to be open with you as well. So thanks, Janie.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. So my question to you to end this off is, if healing had a voice, what would it say to you today?
Mm, I knew you were going to ask me this, but and I thought I'd have an answer. Um, I think what it would say to me is just to be patient and to be open and just even in those moments which are really challenging is just to keep an open heart and know that when I'm feeling these challenging emotions or anything is to know that I've got the capacity to hold it and to move through it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rikesh, for being here. And to all those who
Thank
are
you, Jamie.
listening, watching, if this conversation resonated with you, helped you, or made you feel seen, please be sure to hit subscribe so that you never miss an episode. And come join our free Facebook community, Eat Better, Think Better. It's where these conversations continue and where you'll find real people walking the same path. So if you're ready to go deeper in your own journey, whether it's healing your relationship with food, shifting your mindset, or breaking free from beliefs that are holding you back, you'll find more support, resources, and ways to work with me at www.eatbetterthinkbetter.com. Until next time, here's to eating better, thinking better, and living a phenomenal life. Let's go.